Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. I came across this yesterday and I found it rather surprising. Right now, we are undoubtedly in a honeymoon period for Mark Carney and the re-elected Liberal government. It naturally happens every time an election occurs. Whoever wins naturally goes up in the polls. If you do a preferred prime minister poll right now, it's kind of useless because even conservative voters will say if you ask who they prefer the prime minister to be, they will say, well, I guess whoever won should be the prime minister. Naturally, there are partisans who will always say that they prefer their guy be the prime minister. Like if I was to answer one of those polls, I would say I prefer Pierre Poilievre to. But people who are not big politicos will say, well, naturally, the person who won should be the prime minister. But the thing I found shocking is that Pierre Poilievre is actually doing pretty well right now when it comes to his individual approval rating. Of course, Mark Carney is doing better than him, but he's the new prime minister, bringing in the king to do the throne speech, doing the G7. He just won re-election, and so naturally, a lot of people, have positive thoughts about him. Again, it always happens. To the victor goes the spoils. People like to bandwagon on and say that they approve of whoever won because it's a little more depressing to say that we don't like the guy who won. A lot of people who are not super politically engaged are just going to say, well, I assume he's a good guy and doing a good job, or at least I want to tell myself that. But I want to get into the actual numbers because it's looking decent for Pierre Poilievre when usually the guy who loses the election ends up suffering a massive popularity blow. But before I get into the numbers, guys, just want to remind you if you like the channel, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. We're trying to reach 100,000 subscribers by mid December of this year, and leave a comment on what you think about the topic of the day. Now, let's get into it. So, this is from Spark Insights, and I like that they have a really big sample size. This poll was conducted back on June 9th, 2025, of course, online. And Mark Carney's current approval rating, according to Spark Insights, is approval 67%, disapproval 33%. So, at the moment, because again, the honeymoon effect is in play, right now, only 1/3 of Canadians disapprove of Mark Carney, 2/3 of people approve of him, which isn't too surprising. You're probably going to get a lot of block voters saying they like him because, they don't elect prime ministers. So naturally, they either have to like somebody from the Liberals or like somebody from the Conservatives. They're used to saying they approve of prime ministers who aren't their guy. And then, of course, you'll get a lot of NDP people maybe thinking, oh, I approve of him because he's not Polyev. And then even some conservatives who are not hardcores will say, well, he hasn't messed up yet, so I suppose I approve. But this is, generally speaking, obviously, a very good poll for Mark Carney. I believe this approval rating puts him at where Justin Trudeau was after the 2015 election. A lot of people already knew Trudeau was a clown in 2015, but again, that doesn't stop you from people well wishing the winner. But now let's get down to Pierre Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre's positive polling is 51% positive to 49% negative. It doesn't do the approval disapproval because obviously you can't approve of the job of the opposition leader as much. It's more so, do you like him or not? And when they phrase it, do you have a positive view of him or a negative view? We have 51% of people saying they have a positive view of Pierre Poilievre. Negative is 49%. Now, naturally, you want that to be higher. But considering all the stuff he's had to experience over the last couple of months, losing his riding, losing the election, and now being in this limbo period where he's not in the House of Commons, the guy could be doing far, far worse than this. And these are good numbers for him to be able to slap up on, online on his website when he's moving towards the leadership review in January 2026. I will probably be there because I live in Calgary, and of course I'm a conservative member, so I'm going to try and become a delegate for it. But that's something that Poilievre is going to want to really highlight going into that leadership review. By the way, guys, people still generally like me. They just happen to want the Liberals a little more than conservatives. The way the NDP collapsed advantaged them. Although this is the positive spin of it. I obviously would add in, though, stuff in the Conservative Party still needs to be cleaned up. Clean up the nomination process, clean up the appointments process, get rid of worthless people from headquarters, and actually have better individuals running that party. But yeah, that's still all good stuff for the Conservatives. Now, I do want to bring up something else that we saw yesterday, and that is, again, Carney is no progressive radical the way that Justin Trudeau was. Is he still going to be too left wing for me? Definitely, 100%. He's going to be not to my liking. But this is where the Conservatives have to be careful because Carney is not going to explode on the tarmac the way Justin Trudeau did on many issues. He's kind of boring, which means that he's never going to throw his face in front of the camera and champion hyper progressive causes. But when he does, it should be highlighted. Here is him giving this sort of pseudo speech at a Pride season event. And by the way, right now, I'll show it to you. The Liberal Party has the whole Pride Progress icon for their party right now because it's the month of June, apparently. But what are they? Oh, sorry, I'm covering that over. But what are they supposed to do when it stops being June? Because they're celebrating Pride season. Are they now going to also keep it throughout the entire season, all the way up till September? Because, based on the rules of engagement that they've laid out, that's what they have to do. But here is Mark Carney talking about how we need a stronger, fairer, and more inclusive Canada. I will tell you, inclusion is not the problem in Canada. We are highly inclusive to a fault, to the point where we will include people who don't like including others.
Pride is a promise. It is a promise to every young person, regardless of their identity, that they'll be able to walk through their school doors without being afraid of whether they can get safely through their day.
Safely through their day. This is the type of rhetoric that annoys me about stuff like Pride season and Pride month. The idea that this is like some big ongoing civil rights fight, that you going through Mitt Romney's going to run around the corner and start shaving some kid's head, and he's going to beat up a kid for being kid. What is this? And that's the problem, is that we're in the year 2025 and we pretend we're in the year 1825.
It's a promise to every couple who wants to show affection, to be able to hold hands in public without looking over their shoulders. It's a promise to every Canadian that they will be respected, that their rights will be protected, that you will be safe in your own community and proud in your own skin. So
we have gotten well past that point. I don't think anyone feels like they're going to be attacked or they had to look over your shoulder. Like, they keep invoking that as like a boogeyman. Like, if we don't do this, we're gonna have people running around the streets swinging like flails at people to stop them from holding hands. It's like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Celebrate Pride today, through this month, through every month, week, day, hour of the year.
We had to do it every hour, minute of the year. It's dumb. And then he has the video of him hoisting the flag aloft. Yeah, no. If anything, you've seen the parades. I can't show you the parades, or this channel. This video will not only get age restricted, my channel would get taken down if I show you some of the things that they just allow at places like Toronto Pride and Vancouver Pride. This is something where you will have alliances of gay people saying, please stop doing this. It's really weird. Stop having people not wearing clothes walking down the streets. Can we not do like parade floats where people are twerking wearing banana hammocks? Please? Can we not do that? But the thing is that we pretend like we got to do this. Always the government's doing the soft stuff and they ignore the crazy stuff where they should be fining people. But we have to do this or else people are going to get hurt. I kid you not, good sir. We are not going to have people being attacked unless we do this. Now I just want to move on to one other thing in this video, and that is immigration polling. I do not always agree with him, but I think he does a good analysis of this, because I do like when people who used to work for parties speak out about how parties need to stop being dumb. And Anthony Koch here says, about 2 years ago, I said immigration would rapidly become a top political issue in Canada. I was called a moron by many. Welcome to 2025. I know at one point Anthony was working for the federal Conservatives, and I know the federal Conservatives can be so obtuse on the issue of immigration. And it's because they have to stop listening to certain MPs who are immigration like not even hawks. They are pro-immigration, just full on whatever the number, they like it. Tim Uppel, who is the deputy leader right now, at one point he advocated and he had to walk it back, not because he didn't believe it, but because there was backlash. He had to walk back saying we should eliminate English tests for new citizens. No, we should not. That's insane. And here are the stats that Anthony Koch highlights, and these are from Polera, 2,502 people, kind of like Spark Insights. And it says, attitudes towards immigration levels. In your opinion, do you feel there are too many, too few, or about the right number of immigrants coming into Canada? 2002, 45% of people said it was the right number. 34% it was too many, 14% too few, and 7% don't know. Even in 2002, if you were to run an election campaign on reducing immigration, it would probably be a winner because you at least have 34% of people on board. There's 7% who don't know, and even some people in the right number range, they're not exactly going to get offended if you want to reduce it by 50,000 or 100,000 because, maybe housing prices are going up. You could probably get away with that. But now let's jump ahead to 2025 above. Only 22% of people think that we are at the right number. 8% think it's too few. 10% say they don't know, and I don't believe that they don't know. I think that people just don't want to say. 60%, a massive majority of people think it is too many, especially when you were to just eliminate the don't knows and then you redistribute that portion. This is a massive portion of people. So I tell the Conservative Party again, like Anthony Koch, I've been saying this for a while, run on slashing immigration, TFWs, and temporary foreign workers by 75%. Slash the current numbers by 75%. I don't care if the population even starts going down because the birth rate isn't great and now our immigration is very low. I don't care. That's not the purpose. Immigration is not just some numbers game where we're trying to pump up the GDP. That was something an actual liberal said the other day. Well, immigration's been a success because the GDP's going up. Who cares? The GDP per capita is going down. Let's have some sense here. It does hurt the country to have just hundreds of thousands of people, over 1 million in some years, entering the country who don't really care about the country. They don't have anything invested in it. They're just here because there might be a job, and that's it. And you know what? Fair enough. If the doors were open, I don't exactly fault them for entering. Maybe I wouldn't personally go to a country that I didn't care about because, I don't really want to be somewhere where I don't want to be, especially because I think it's rude to the people who already live there to kind of like occupy space when you have no investment in the health of the country, the culture, the history. But I don't fault them. I fault the people who open the door this wide because it's not actually good for the culture, for the crime rates. It's not good for the job markets. Young people, especially younger men, cannot find jobs. It's insane. And those are right now, the unemployment rate only tracks those who are even looking anymore. But anyways, that should be it for me today, guys, in this video. So make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, do all that great stuff. And I will see you guys around later.